official Newcastle United video is brought to you in association with Newcastle Breweries, proud to be the club's major sponsor.
Welcome again to another feast of Newcastle football on the black and white video. So many great games to cram in. Plus, we're talking to super sub Steve Watson. He's United's man of many parts. We've got a royal appointment. Peter Beardsley among the honours. Newcastle prepares for Europe's best. What a summer lies ahead. Life is just capital for Robert Lee, but Newcastle is home from home now. We've some heart-stopping cup ties and a race for the Premiership. And an exclusive, why Kevin says no to the England job. We start though with the Christmas card scene at United's training ground at Maiden Castle. It's only mid-November, but the first snowfall of the winter made for an interesting session. Rob Lee had just returned from starring in England's midweek win over Switzerland at Wembley. And trying to have a word with him proved, well, quite difficult.
You must have been really pleased with your own personal performance and the team's result on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm more pleased with the team's performance, really. I mean, to get a good... Here we go.
Here we go, yeah. No, all right, it's only Mr. Howie.
To get a win for Tovan was very important for him, and yeah, though I'm not used to playing sitting in the hour. I think performance was okay. If I could add a few of these, it would be all right. I thought the team did very well, and Steve Howe deserves to be out of the team, but he's useless. And I think Gary Palace sometimes has some much better players than him, and I'll be very surprised with the next squad.
Well, the green grass of Villa Park had been a happy hunting ground for Newcastle since their return to the Premiership. 2 games, 2 wins. In 1993, Peter Beardsley set up Andy Cole, who made the most of a rebound to get United second in a 2-0 win. Then, a year later, Rob Lee was on the score sheet alongside Cole in another 2-goal victory. But now Aston Villa had northeasterner Brian Little in charge, and they'd made a promising start to the season. There were 2 goals in the match again, but this time United had to settle for just 1 point.
Villa looking full of confidence, it's got to be said. Milicevic, good save. Shaka Hislop then denying Milicevic. Great reactions. Draper trying to find some room to get a cross in, well worked. It's another good ball. Johnson, 1-0, Tommy Johnson. It's the boy from Gateshead, gives Villa the lead. Ginola brought down and taken out wide. Nice little flick. Oh, the cameraman knew about that one. So did Ginola by the looks of it. It's in a bit of trouble there. Hislop then trying to nick a few yards extra. It's a big long ball up the middle. Ferdinand in his box. Here goes Big Les. And just too much power for Villa. It's 1-1. Really turning on the gas there, and Ekiop just couldn't hold him, but he gets into his stride. Well, that's another goal for Les Ferdinand. Knocked in by Beardsley, and down from Ferdinand to Barton. What a fine effort from Warren Barton. Beardsley, typical cross, and Ferdinand really thinking, and Barton was right up there with an excellent volley. Good save.
7 days later, United were back home where they'd won all 8 games since the August kick-off. Opponents, Leeds United, were the only side to win at St James's Park last season. And they arrived with new signing Thomas Brolin, who'd played in the World Cup in '94. The Swedish international was on the bench as Keegan's men began their double mission. That was to maintain the 100% start and avenge last season's defeat. They had to do it the hard way.
Now Yeboah getting away. Good bit of work back. Good save from Hislop, and Dean, and Hislop again, and Beresford is there. What an escape there for Newcastle. Dean should have put it away, but Hislop wasn't having it. Now his header there, Lukic, Peacock's in there. Oh, they didn't like that at all. Peacock followed in there on John Lukic. The referee's straight in there to break it up. Peacock furious. Dorigo none too pleased, and that's going to be a definite yellow card. Touched by Lee there, knocked in and forward, and Ferdinand up there, and Beardsley straight onto it, just wide. Always so aware of where the goal is, Peter Beardsley. McAllister looking for that one to be played to him. He's tapping it out wide to Dorigo again, and Dean, and 1-0! Brian Dean, that's a fine header just after half an hour gone. It's 1-0 to Leeds. Beardsley, McAllister with him. Knocked into Robert Lee, and a nice turn, and an even better one. And a third, and Lee still going. Looking for a penalty, were they? And was stopped by Carlton Palmer, but that was a good tackle. Nice little flick, and Lee's onto it. Lee looking to go all the way, perhaps, still going. Marvellous football from Rob Lee, 1-1. Delicate touch from Beardsley. Lee was onto it. There was so much more work to be done. Dorigo on his backside, and Lee, brilliant. 1-1. Newcastle straight away on the attack again, and Ferdinand's up there, and Lukic, and Beardsley, and 2-1. 2 in a minute. Beardsley came flying in for that one. Keegan off the bench, Ferdinand in the air. There was Beardsley to punish them. That's no tap-in, I can tell you. There goes the final whistle. Great fight back. Ferdinand, no goals this time, but he set up that one for Beardsley to put Newcastle in charge after Rob Lee, another superb solo as well. What a game.
So the top of the Premiership on that last Saturday in November saw Newcastle with a 6-point lead over Manchester United, who had a game in hand. The Coca-Cola Cup had dealt Newcastle just about as tough a draw as possible. Liverpool away. The fourth-round tie came at the end of a month that began with Roy Evans' team stretching United almost to breaking point at St James's Park. Steve Watson had been Newcastle's saviour that afternoon with a late winner. So Kevin Keegan returned to his old club knowing his team needed a performance of heroic proportions, and he got it.
Now then for Jones. McAteer again. Linking with McManaman. Collymore in for Fowler. It's a great chance! Good save by Hislop. Just got his hands to it. He has Barton in support. Ferdinand's made tracks into the middle. This is Ferdinand. And it falls for Lee! It's rolled up for Fowler. Now, Rob Jones. Collymore making tracks into the middle. Almost got there. Peacock. A superb interception there. My God, that was a vital one to do from Darren Peacock. Certainly saved his team. Now Ferdinand has gone down. There was a nasty clash of heads. And well, the train is running on very quickly. I think it's Mark Wright. Yes, Wright is involved with Ferdinand. And the two have collided. And that looked very painful indeed. I think he's going to have to go off the field. Hopefully can't return. They certainly hope so, these Newcastle fans, who really have warmed to Les Ferdinand since his move up to the northeast. And of course, it's been an inspired signing by Kevin Keegan. Here is Steve Watson, the man who scored that last gasp winner up at St James's Park when the teams met in the league. Now Collymore has not too much support for him. From Beresford, and it very nearly put Shaka Hislop in all kinds of difficulties. A bit sturdy at the back of Newcastle. Watson, there's nobody up with him. Plenty of Liverpool defenders back, he's got to go it alone. Maybe he can. Clever chip. Oh! Fantastic goal! What a story here at Anfield. Steve Watson, on for the injured Les Ferdinand, has scored a superb goal.
He's come on for Les Ferdinand. He's played alone for up front. You know, he's had to work very hard, and then in the end he's had the bottle and the nerve to take on two defenders. Great ball from Peter Beardsley in the first place. There's still a lot to do, and in the end he's chipped one of the biggest keepers in the league. I mean, it was a dream goal, and he loves videos, does Watto, so he'll be, you won't get a video copy of that goal around Newcastle. He'll be buying the whole lot. He loves them.
Steve Watson, star of stage, screen and video. In fact, as well as being United's play anywhere man, he's also entertainment officer for away trips.
No, I haven't got a massive football collection, I admit. I've got the odd fantasy football team and things like that, but it's mainly movies. I mean, I get all the movies for the team coach, and probably not everybody's cup of tea, but you can't have everything. You've got 15 footballers, you're going to get stick no matter what you bring on, and the stick always tends to come from the same people. I wouldn't want to embarrass them, but Steve Howe and Robert Lee tend to moan no matter what, even if they like the film, they moan for moaning's sake. I mean, they never watch it, they're always eating pies and things, but yeah. David Ginola's quite good, he likes watching the film, and Philippe's not too bad. I'm not sure I understand everything, but he likes Jim Carrey, David. He says he's brilliant.
Great video.
The Gaffer and Terry usually criticise the daft ones like Ace Ventura. Not their type, I don't think. Sylvester, Judge Dredd. The last one we had on the coach, I think. I got booed off as well.
So this entertainment officer tag, you're not actually doing too well in the job?
No, well, I've been at it for about 3 or 4 years, and these are the most critical bunch, without a doubt. That's always went down. That's been a favourite. 4 weddings and a funeral. If ever I'm stuck and I'm going through a bad patch, I bring that out.
And the thrillers and the drama was your goal against Liverpool. That would be over there somewhere.
Yeah. Or the romance, I suppose.
Watson, nobody up with him. Then the Liverpool defender's back, he's got to go it alone. Maybe he can. Clever chip! Oh! Fantastic goal!
For the travelling Toon Army, Newcastle's next Premiership match had all the makings of a video nasty. They'd lost their 3 previous matches against Wimbledon at Selhurst Park. On this day though, Warren Barton was made captain on his first return to the club he'd left in the summer for his £4 million move to St James's Park. Keegan's men made a flying start, and this match turned out to be a real collector's item.
Now how costly will that mistake by Harford be? Beresford gets it back from Beardsley. Ferdinand flying in! Tremendous goal from Newcastle United, and Les Ferdinand to round off a sweeping move. And Mick Harford will hang his head. He lost the ball.
Well, watch how many people are ahead of Mick Harford, Mark. They talked about emptying it. Look at that. There's a huge hole there where all midfield players, the 2 central midfield players, have gone. Now, it's not over and done with yet. It needs a good ball. It needs a better run. And it needs a really cool finish. And Newcastle provide us with the lot. Super goal.
Well, Wimbledon have picked a team to score, and they have scored. Dean Holdsworth, 1-1. Gillespie was found by Lee's clever turn. Gillespie's cross. Ferdinand is in there. Terrific save by Paul Heald to stop Les Ferdinand putting Newcastle back in front straight away. Kimball's cross. His lock challenged by Harford has put him off. Can Goodman turn it back? Harford is there. It's a goal for Wimbledon. They're in front. This is Ginola. It's enthralling entertainment at Selhurst Park. And Ferdinand, another goal. His second, Newcastle's second. We haven't yet had half an hour, and it's 2-2 at Selhurst Park.
Ginola, again, he didn't even try to beat his man this time. He's got 1 against 1. Harper comes over, but he just drops it in at the front post. And Ferdinand's got such good movement. For a big man, he doesn't stand around the far post and wait. He's so aware of that area at the near post. He reacts quicker than any defender, and he gets the reward.
Here is Les Ferdinand. Past Perry. Beardsley wants it cut back. It goes instead for Gillespie. It goes in. Wimbledon 2, Newcastle United 3. And the supply line this time was through Ferdinand. Role reversal. Ferdinand on the right, Gillespie in the centre. Goal for Newcastle.
Great awareness from Ferdinand. There isn't an own goal from Cunningham, who I think almost does it brilliantly. It might well be. He spots the danger and he tries to get in and retrieve it. But Ferdinand does everything right. They all expected it to go back to Beardsley, you know, who had just held his position.
Gale. Kimball charging down the line. Gale finds him well. It needs a good cross from Wimbledon here. Mick Harford attacking it! Well, it was a terrific header, and Hislop kept it out to his great credit.
That's textbook. That's a cameo of Mick Harford at his very best. And a wonderful save from Hislop.
Kimball. He's got it into the danger area again. Harford's attacking it. Holdsworth! 3-3!
Less than 48 hours later, United's club captain was back in London, and this time at a distinctly grander location. At Buckingham Palace, it was red carpet treatment all the way. That was on a day when 4 Newcastle players were named in the next England squad to meet Portugal. So what a proud day for one of them, Peter Beardsley. With his wife Sandra and children Drew and Stacey, he received the MBE from the Queen for his services to football.
It's an amazing place, you know, the Queen was very nice, and it's a very special day for me and my family.
And did the Queen say anything to you?
Yes, she said we're doing very well at the moment, and luckily she's spot on.
She's a supporter, is she?
Well, I don't know if she's a supporter of me, but she obviously done her homework and realised that we're top of the league, and it was nice that she acknowledged that.
Meanwhile, another popular figure said goodbye to Tyneside. Scott Sellers joined Bolton Wanderers after realising his chances would be limited in United's high-flying team. Sellers had joined Kevin Keegan's First Division Championship drive, and a winning goal against the old enemy Sunderland helped make him a firm favourite. Back in the top flight, Sellers' high-class skills made him an integral part of the team's crowd-pleasing style. When a knee injury cost him the best part of a year's first-team football, his composed passing in midfield was often missed. But by the time Scott regained his fitness, David Ginola had arrived to bring almost impossible competition on the left side of midfield. But in his first full game back, Sellers once again reminded everyone about that magical left foot, and it was a fitting farewell.
Whipped in that cross looking for Ferdinand. Cover was there. Fighting by Sellers, and it's a goal! Scott Sellers celebrates his return to first-team duty.
At Stamford Bridge, Chelsea chairman Ken Bates and Rebel director Matthew Harding had seemingly sorted out their differences. On the pitch, Newcastle needed to sort out their defence as they faced a Chelsea free kick just before half-time. Goalkeeper Shaka Hislop had to go off because of a thigh injury he'd picked up in the 10th minute. For substitute Pavel Srnicek, it meant a first Premiership appearance of the season. The free kick led to the only goal of the game though. Les Ferdinand's clearance only reached Dan Petrescu, and the Romanian shot gave the unfortunate Pav no chance at all. It was a disappointing day for Keegan's side. Ferdinand came closest when his header bounced on the crossbar, and Darren Peacock couldn't hit the target with the rebound. United had lost only their second match of the season. Back at St James's, United honoured the adopted Geordie athlete Jonathan Edwards before the match against Everton. Chairman Sir John Hall made a special presentation to triple jumper Jonathan, who'd set 3 new world records and become world champion in a brilliant summer of competition. It was a big step too for United's Czech keeper. Pavel Srnicek was starting a match for the first time this season with Shaka Hislop still injured. And to add to the continental flavour, Everton paraded Andrei Kanchelskis, their Russian star who was to cause United all sorts of problems. But not before United's top scorer laid an early foundation for victory.
Beardsley now. It's superbly knocked through to Ferdinand in his stride. And Ferdinand celebrates his 21st. He read that one absolutely brilliantly. Beardsley so aware as normal, and Ferdinand could finish it off. Beardsley just looked up and drifted that one through the Everton defence. Ferdinand knew he had to hit it first time, and Southall could only admire it. Kanchelskis then, deep in midfield, but leaving it to Limpar, who's wandered in there. Stewart getting a return, some slick passing here by Everton, and Amakachi with a chance, and Srdicek comes up big. Beautiful footwork all the way through then by Everton. Stewart's little ball knocked through to Amakachi. Appeals for offside, but Pav still had to do his job. Here come Everton again, and Kanchelskis with that tremendous pace of his. Beresford brings him down. Whistle goes. This could be real trouble. Kanchelskis was away and flying, and Beresford, who's no slouch, could still only bring him down. Now, was that a goal-scoring opportunity? Yes, says Mr. Durkin, and Beresford is out of this game. Off he goes, John Beresford. Newcastle with 10. Plenty of height up there then for Everton. Away, no, still there, and back for Limpar, lines up the shot, and Srdicek, that's a magnificent save. How did he do that? Srdicek had to readjust. Limpar looked as though he'd scored the goal, but Pavel Srdicek, a hero's return in this game. Limpar got a wicked deflection, and somehow Srdicek got to it. Brilliant. That was Lee with a really solid challenge. And now Ferdinand. Could this be another solo performance from Les Ferdinand? No, it's out wide instead. Ginola looking for the goal and hits the post. And Ferdinand, oh, that's a great covering tackle. And Everton carved open, and even Southall applauds the defending. Ferdinand feels he should have had another. Ginola, another superb strike from him, denied by the woodwork.
So 10-man Newcastle took all 3 points, and Srdicek earned special applause for some brilliant match-winning saves.
I will never forget, obviously, this day, today, what happened to me, because like from last week, to be fair, after Chelsea game, I went back home and thinking, first shot on, bang in, you know, and really thinking I didn't much really, you know, what can I do? So, and I was thinking, come back to the Everton home.
Srdicek, that's a magnificent save.
Fans, they are absolutely terrific to me, you know. Even I was on the bench, they always stood behind me.
Less than 24 hours later, a specially invited audience at St James's Park awaited the draw for the 1996 European Championships. But while Pav's Czech Republic side was drawn to play at Anfield and Old Trafford, the big question was which countries would come to Tyneside. In fact, 3 Group B matches will happen at St James's Park. In the first fixture on Monday, June the 10th, Romania meet France. Will David Ginola be in the French side? 3 days later, Bulgaria, semi-finalists in the 1994 World Cup in America, meet Romania. A chance for the fans to see Hristo Stoichkov. And on Tuesday, the 18th of June, France take on Bulgaria in another tea-time kick-off. The Group B seeds Spain play their 3 games at Ellen Road, but football fans in the northeast are in for a tremendous couple of weeks.
I think that means that the fans of Bulgaria, Romania and France will make their base in Newcastle, so they'll be here for the period of the tournament, and that's important for the city.
For David Ginola, there's an anxious wait to see if, like Eric Cantona, he wins a recall to his national squad. French coach M. Jacquet says he'll be watching the winger's form, but here's what Ginola's club boss thinks of the selection poser.
I think he's used the Cantona Ginola experience, if you like, to motivate other players. And he's sort of, you know, more or less gone out on a bit of a limb, I think, and sort of
decided that they can qualify despite these two players. Now, whether he'll stick to his guns when it comes to actually naming a squad without the two best players in it, I mean, I think then I would think seriously about that if I was him. Whether he's really going to see it through and say, right, you lot qualified us without these two, now go on and win it, I personally think that would be a mistake. I think great management would be effectively the two back. The pressure then would be on David and Cantona to produce. But that's me looking at it from an outsider.
Belgium took centre stage at St James's Park for United's next home game against Nottingham Forest. Philippe Albert lined up to start his first Premiership match of the season, leaving out John Beresford, who'd been sent off in the previous match. So 3 central defenders as Newcastle aim to make it 10 out of 10 at home.
Here's a typical turn there, leaving Des Little and Stone and Lee. Oh, what a goal from Rob Lee! Absolute rocket! 11 minutes gone, 1-0. Gino's skill set it up as usual. A little flick and Lee absolutely let fly. Unstoppable. Here's Stuart Pearce. And Ian Wone. Lay off for Wone, who's kept on running and keeps on going and scores 1-1. That's an excellent goal from Ian Wone. Here come Newcastle again. There's absolutely no let-up in this one. Here's Ginola. 2-1. Another superb strike from Newcastle. The goals are just getting better. Ginola, his first goal at St James's Park, and placed perfectly. Here's Beardsley, full of busy, looking to attack. Straight past 2, straight past 3. Here's Beardsley against the bar. Oh, that was extraordinary. And still it could be on and over the top. Rob Lee nearly cashing in, and Beardsley more genius. Ginola, what a game he's having, and what a ball again. Ferdinand. Crossley saves it, and Beardsley follows in. Ferdinand will have put that one away normally. Ginola. It's another great ball in. Not quite clear. Lee. Ferdinand. Lee in his stride. It's another brilliant goal from Rob Lee. This is a stunning display. Rob Lee at the heart of it. Took it in his stride and put it away with no problem. Top quality. Clark. Ferdinand. Beardsley, and he really lashed that. Crossley, I think, just got a fingertip to it, but it was really travelling. Ferdinand, a great support play from him again. Beardsley, one touch, the second like a hammer, and good save.
2 strikes from Rob Lee kept up his steady flow of goals from midfield. 8 for the season from a player who's proved one of Kevin Keegan's most inspired signings. So let's turn the spotlight now on the man who's quietly become one of the stars of the team. Roger Thames reports.
If the Tyne Bridge is at the heart of the city of Newcastle, then Londoner Robert Lee has now become the player who pumps life into its football team. Tyneside has been the unexpected setting for an amazing personal success story for this unassuming Essex man. Rob is a Londoner through and through, but definitely not the flash Cockney type. He was a footballing unknown when Kevin Keegan paid Charlton Athletics £700,000 in September 1992 and turned the former West Ham fan's life upside down.
I was considering going to Middlesbrough, and I think I told Lenny Lawrence that maybe it was too far north for me, you know. Then I had to speak to Kevin Keegan, and I spoke to him, and I came up to Newcastle on the Monday, and I signed on the same Monday, so it was a bit of a shock.
Well, a shock it might have been, but now Rob's football roots are firmly planted in the northeast. So he can look back and confess the move north was tough at first.
I think it's took me maybe longer than other people to settle in. As I say, being so much of a Londoner and never actually leaving home at all, and you know, I never set the world on fire when I came to the club, and people probably thought, you know, what's Kevin Keegan brought here?
Rob may think he made a quiet start, but he scored 13 goals in United's First Division Championship season, including this one against his old club. Already he looked a bargain. The North East had certainly taken to the Londoner. Footballers in the capital might be anonymous, but on Tyneside it was so different, and Rob was really warming to the attention.
I think the fans have been starved of success here for so many years that now it's all coming, and people just want to be part of it. They want to speak to the players, and I think Kevin Keegan's gone a long way to try and get the players to be part of the community.
In Newcastle's first Premiership season, Rob only missed one game, but his role wasn't quite so automatic. The arrival of Rule Fox coincided with a switch to a more central role, often as a support striker. But it was Rob's explosive start to last season that saw him emerge as an international force. 11 goals in as many games and scored in real style. He even landed a hat-trick of headers on his European debut in Antwerp, but injury hit him hard.
When I came back in the team, we had so many injuries, and there were key players out, Barry Venison, Andy Cole, and it was very difficult when I came back in. You know, the team wasn't playing well, and I came back in, and obviously, you know, there was no confidence in me, and I began to play poorly as well, and it went sort of like downhill rapidly after that.
This season, the quality goals have flowed again, even though the former winger can now add the midfield anchor role to his repertoire, against his natural attacking instincts. But Rob Lee keeps getting better.
I'm a lot stronger than I was last season. I've worked hard in pre-season. I think I get up and down the pitch a bit more than I used to, and I think defensively I've improved 100%.
From being just an average team player when he first came, he's now a major influence on this club, and this club's moved onto another. It's gone into another world since he first came, and he's been able to take that in his stride. And actually, he looks better. He looks an even better player when he's playing with great players like Ginola, like Les Ferdinand, you know, and like Peter Beers. He's come on again.
Lee's versatility should see him as a key figure in England's European Championship squad. But first, there's a Premiership title to be won.
Yeah, since I joined Newcastle, it's been like a dream, really. I mean, every year it seems to have got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it'd be a dream now to finish off with winning the Premiership and winning the European Championships as well.
So confidence couldn't be higher for undoubtedly Newcastle's toughest game of the season, away at Old Trafford. The game had been moved to the Wednesday after Christmas, so a live TV audience could savour the long-awaited clash between the Premiership leaders and the most consistent title challengers of recent years. It brought Kevin Keegan face-to-face with Alex Ferguson, Britain's most successful club manager. This was the chance to crush the resistance out of United's biggest rivals. But the greater pressure was surely on the home side, who simply had to win to keep their championship ambitions alive. Keith Gillespie won't forget his first return to his old club. He was caught by Philip Neville and sent flying. It turned out to be a serious thigh injury. He'd be out for several weeks, and as it transpired, the night belonged to Manchester United.
You can expect plenty of motoring from Manchester United tonight. In front of their own fans again. It's Giggs to Cole! Well, Newcastle know all about him. Giggs and Butt get in each other's way. And it's Howie, and it's Ferdinand, and there's no flag. But he couldn't emulate Andy Cole at the other end. Phil Neville. Keane wants it again, and Keane has got it. Roy Keane for Manchester United. That's absolutely wonderful.
Well, the new year dawned with a sober warning for would-be troublemakers at St James's Park. This is the custody suite. Cells to you and me. Part of a brand new computerised police centre said to be the most advanced at any sporting venue in the world.
We can make football family entertainment. People can come to soccer in the knowledge that they're going to watch the game in privacy and enjoyment and not be bothered by any abuse of any kind.
In the Premiership, Manchester United's assault on Newcastle's top spot had been well and truly arrested in a 4-1 defeat on New Year's Day at Tottenham. So Keegan's men still in pole position with 2 games in hand. The driving ambition was twofold. As well as the need to win games, United launched their new Lister Storm GTI sports car before the match against Arsenal. The motor with the Jaguar engine under the bonnet has undergone extensive testing at Donington Racetrack in the Midlands. This year, the car will carry Newcastle United's name in major events all over the world, including the 24-hour races at Daytona and at Le Mans. Meanwhile, the Gunners' own top-of-the-range model, Dutch international Dennis Bergkamp, made his first visit to St James's Park for the Premiership clash. Paul Kitson's season hadn't really got off the starting grid. Injury had kept him sidelined, but now he was in for the injured Keith Gillespie. And within 60 seconds, the former Derby striker had helped United to a racing start.
Ginola, and Kitson getting a first touch. And setting up Ginola, got the shot in and pitched away, and it's a goal! Oh, Seaman couldn't keep it out, and Ginola, a spectacular start. Ginola set up by Kitson's first touch, and he really let fly, and Seaman in the end could only push it in. It's over the top for Ferdinand now. Ferdinand shaping for the drive. And again, Seaman can't keep it out. It's 2-0 now. And Ferdinand gets his goal. Wonderful ball forward, and Ferdinand is so strong from there. Seaman again gets a hand to it, but he can't keep them at bay. And again, Newcastle have started the second half, the same authority they started the first. And now Kitson, Ferdinand. Beardsley having a scamper for that one. Oh, it's fallen to Kitson. Oh, against the post, and Kitson follows up. And this time Seaman does hang on.
Kevin Keegan's team virtually followed Arsenal back down the A1 as United made Stamford Bridge their first stop in a London Cup double. Chelsea away in the third round of the FA Cup was more proof of how tough the draws had been to Newcastle. Robbie Elliott held his place at left-back with John Beresford only a substitute on his return from suspension. Philippe Albert was one of 3 central defenders on duty as United knew that they faced a battle. It proved to be an absolute cliffhanger.
It's Terry Phelan with some room and some space out there, wide on the left, players in the middle, and Hughes, and that's 1-0. 10 minutes to half-time, it's Mark Hughes for Chelsea. Beardsley, a great ball square, and Albert against the post. Brilliant from Albert. Beardsley again. It's only half away and straight back in, and Howie with a flick, and Ferdinand appealing for offside. No goal. Disallowed for offside. The flag was up. These fans know time is really ticking out now. Albert's knocked it back in for Ferdinand. Ferdinand with a chance, and he scored! 1-1. The 93rd minute, and Newcastle have jumped out of their FA Cup grave. It was a great ball from Albert and Ferdinand. Now that is what you call timing.
Well, time now for the answer to the quiz from the previous edition of the Black and White video. And what a prize! We've got 2 copies of this superb new book. It's called United, the First 100 Years and More. And it's written and compiled by Paul Janu, the club's official historian. Every fact and figure, all the names and games, and the stories that have made Newcastle such an intriguing club since it was formed in 1882. Well, this was the question. Who scored most goals for his country? Was it Malcolm MacDonald, Jackie Milburn, Hughie Gallagher, or Kevin Keegan? If you said Supermac, you were wrong. Malcolm scored 6 England goals, including that record 5 in one game against Cyprus. The legendary Jackie Milburn, Newcastle's all-time leading scorer, got a highly respectable 10 goals, including a hat-trick. Kevin Keegan, of course, was an England captain. He won 63 caps in all and scored 21 times, but even that doesn't win. It was Hughie Gallagher, a football genius. He scored 463 career goals, almost a third of them for Newcastle. For his native Scotland, he played only 20 games, yet scored 24 goals. So it's congratulations to United fanatic Bob Polkinghorne from Boksburg in South Africa, who sent several entries, including one from his dog Keegan, and to Gareth Bajent from Halifax in West Yorkshire. Well, Newcastle's next test was in another cup cauldron, this time the White Heat of Highbury. Arsenal had been totally outplayed on Tyneside the previous week. The Gunners' Dennis Bergkamp had missed his team's FA Cup flop against Sheffield United 4 days earlier, along with England captain David Platt, but they were back and Arsenal were at full strength. Newcastle were trying to reach their first League Cup semi-final for 20 years in front of yet another live TV audience. And there was one battle which was going to dominate proceedings.
Dixon plastered him there, and there's no foul. Gerald Ashby had a look at it, said no. Ginola stays down. Oh, and that was a foul. And it's a yellow card for Winterburn, and I don't think he can have any arguments at all about that one. And I'm not at all sure that Dixon's didn't merit one on Ginola, but Winterburn certainly gets it. Ginola. That's a free kick this time. And it's going to be a yellow card for Winterburn. Winterburn, if it's Winterburn. No, Ginola's got a yellow card. Ginola's got a yellow card. I think Ginola's got a yellow card for feigning. That's a real buzz about this cup tie, though. Here's Wright from Genson's cross. Oh, it's a goal! Long, flag up for offside here. Player's gone down. The crowd were howling. The linesman has seen something.
Well, there's obviously some contact, but I don't think that showed clearly just how much contact there was, Mike.
Red card. Dixon is still down. Ginola. No, it's Ginola. Tony Adams comes away with it. And now Bergkamp. And Helder on the left. Wright's up there with him. That's for Ian Wright. It's a fantastic goal.
A fantastic goal that signalled the end of any Coca-Cola Cup ambitions for United for another season. But that wasn't the main talking point. The treatment of David Ginola by Arsenal and the referee Gerald Ashby grabbed the headlines and infuriated Kevin Keegan.
In position as manager now, I mean, the FA say we've got to go to after-match press conferences, we've got to do this and we've got that, but what they also say is we can't talk about referees. So I've just kept quiet about it. You know, I mean, if I said what I really think, it would be the same as what every supporter thought. And I do actually think the referee, although he had a bad day that day, I think Gerald Ashby's a top referee. We all have bad days. I have bad days in my job. I'm sure you do in yours. He had one in his. Unfortunately for us, it was a real bad day for him and for us.
After the traumas in the Cup, a league game at Coventry was just as important. Newcastle hadn't won away in the Premiership for 3 months. Lee Clark was back in the starting lineup after 3 games on the bench, as United reshuffled to cover for the injured Steve Howie. Newcastle were completing an amazing TV hat-trick. 3 live matches in 8 days. First the BBC, then ITV, and now Sky Sports.
John Salako is unmarked here. Salako, goalkeeper's lost it and Peacock's got it off the line.
Well, thank you very much, Darren Peacock, is what Pavel Srnicek's saying.
Ginola. Salako, that's weak. And it's Clark. It's Steve Watson. Steve Watson striding through the score. But a terrible mistake for Coventry.
Well, it was a nothing ball. It was there to be dealt with. John Salako didn't deal with it. But again, this lad shows great composure when he's given an opportunity to score. Ginola's tried this ball 4 or 5 times and hasn't connected. But that's real sloppy play from John Salako.
Now it's only January the 17th and United are about to start their 5th game in 1996. This was the next blockbuster, the FA Cup replay at home to Chelsea. The relentless pace was beginning to tell with no time to recover between matches. Rob Lee was missing. If Glenn Hoddle had been devastated by Newcastle's great escape at Stamford Bridge, Keegan was to suffer even more agonies in one of the most dramatic and controversial games of the season.
Ginola, Ferdinand. Kept his balance there. Fine shot, oh, he's hit the post. What a brilliant effort from Ferdinand. Great turn, lost his balance, and then he really hit it cleanly. Ginola and Albert. Can't send Belgium over the ball here. Albert, deflection. 1-0 to Newcastle. 4 minutes to go to half-time, and Albert strikes. It came off Dennis Wise. Keeper no chance. Albert, dangerous whenever he comes forward, and Wise the unlucky man. Kitson chasing this one. Kitson chasing it all the way and gets a touch to it. Hitchcock had to push it over. Good running, good keeping. Kitson never gave up and got a foot to it, and Hitchcock got a hand. Spencer. Peacock's with him, Spencer's down. Oh, that could be costly. It's a penalty. Peacock has already been booked. Spencer was through there. That ball bobbled up. Peacock, though, in real trouble. The yellow card's out, and the red one. Peacock's out of this game. Newcastle 10 men now, half an hour to go. Wise has got the penalty, and perfectly pushed away then, 1-1. Newcastle still coming forward. Ginola comes in at the far post. Kitson, down he goes. It's another penalty. Hoddle can't believe that decision. Lee was right there. That was the shove, says Stephen Lodge. And this is Newcastle's chance. Peter Beardsley, always the man for the job, and again. The 10 men are ahead, 2-1. Beardsley impeccable from the spot. Substitution then, and it's Darren Huckabee. Les Ferdinand, the hero of Stamford Bridge, comes off. Kitson, that's a good first take, he's got to get the shot in. Hitchcock bailed out there. Kitson close. Whistling all around the ground. And Hullet! Oh, it's 2-2! The very last minute, Ruud Hullet, the equaliser. So much tension here now. And Cernicek, it's a fine save from Dennis Wise. Now it's Huckabee. His first game for Newcastle, remember, the boy from Lincoln. Plenty of confidence and a good run. Oh, so near to being the hero. Darren Huckabee so close. There's the final whistle of extra time, and now we have the agony of penalties. Ginola is wrecked, and the crowd absolutely drained by this one. So it's Peter Beardsley then to lead by example. The first penalty, he's put one away already, normally so reliable. Beardsley against Hitchcock, against the woodwork, and Beardsley never misses. He can't believe it. Now David Lee, he might well have gone, of course, on a different day after conceding that penalty earlier, but it's this penalty now that counts, and he makes it 1-0 to Chelsea. Young Steve Watson then with the responsibility. Watson, and Hitchcock saves it. No great power, and Hitchcock celebrates. 2 they've missed, Newcastle. This is Dennis Wise, his second of the night, and coolly taken right in the top corner. 2 now for Chelsea, none for Newcastle. John Beresford. Newcastle desperately needing someone to put a penalty away. Beresford, cleanly struck then, and Newcastle at least have got some reward. Well, Gavin Peacock, so long a hero here at St James's Park, looking to put Chelsea's third away, and he does, and he's relieved as well. 3-1. Philippe Albert to keep Newcastle alive, and they're still in this one. Albert, come on Pav, he says. But Eddie Newton can win it for Chelsea here. Cernicek knows it, so too does Newton. Newton scores, it's all over for Newcastle, and Chelsea have gone through unbelievable drama. Chelsea celebrate, Newcastle and Beardsley gutted.
Chelsea played really well, but don't forget, for the last 30 minutes of the game, and the 50 minutes each way of extra time, they had one man more than us, and yet we still were able to take the game to them at times. So, I mean, it shows you how far we've come. So, you have to, as a manager, I'm sure the players do it, for your confidence point of view, you say, well, OK, we're out, but we lost nothing in defeat there. To be honest, penalty shootouts don't do anything for me anyway, never have. I know it's the only way they can decide games, but I just stood there and, you know, I said to, my only words to Glenn Hoddle was, it's a lottery now. They won the lottery.
3 days later, Newcastle had the chance to put that cup nightmare behind them and resume their flawless Premiership run at St James's. Scott Sellers was back on Tyneside, but this time in a Bolton shirt in a top-against-bottom affair. A return to their usual home dominance would mean a 12-point lead at the top of the Premiership.
Lee Clark, Robley, Barton again. Beardsley, just knocking it in there for Kitson. Excellent goal, Paul Kitson. Les Ferdinand will applaud that one. And Newcastle take the lead. 9.5 minutes gone. Scott Sellers with the left foot. It's in, it's a goal. It's Bergson who's come up there and stolen it. And that's 1-1 Bolton. Clark to Robley, on to Kitson. Kitson looking for Beardsley, who took it down. Still has to turn. Lee, oh, run against the uprights. He thought he had to score, and so did he. Into the middle again. Brannigan got a foot to it, off the line from Kitson. Watson's corner then. Albert wanted it, Peacock got to it, and it's there from Beardsley. That's 100 league goals for Newcastle from Peter Beardsley in the week he celebrates his 35th birthday, and it's put them back ahead against Bolton, buried in the true Beardsley fashion. And Bolton just had to cave in eventually. Beardsley, no messing, just the way he likes to finish them. Another historic mark for Peter Beardsley. Lee, neat turn again, in great balance, and Kitson's there, but Lee very well fancied himself. Brannigan down behind it. Helped on to Scott Sellers. He won't get much closer, Scott Sellers. Appreciative applause. Blake turning his man well, and Cernicek, what an important save.
Cernicek's saves made sure of all 3 points, but the biggest cheer of the day was for Beardsley's historic 100th league goal for Newcastle.
I'm delighted, it's very special, you know, I've been here 6.5 seasons now, and I'm absolutely delighted. I never thought I'd get 100 goals for Newcastle, and it is very special to me.
Peter first joined his native Newcastle back in the autumn of '83. He arrived via Carlisle, Manchester United and Vancouver Whitecaps, an inspired signing. Beardsley went straight into the side with Keegan, McDermott and Chris Waddle. His first goal came at Cardiff in United's 1984 promotion season. His century keeps Newcastle on course for the Championship.
I think, you know, Peter Beardsley more than any other player possibly at this club will win us a Championship, because there's certainly some more goals from him. There's no doubt about that.
Everything now, I genuinely believe, is a bonus, you know, being 35. It's not such a big thing anymore, so I'm looking forward to a few more years yet.
You don't give it a thought, don't give me that.
No, I look forward to this place, you know. This is a special place, and these are special people, and they keep you young.
It would be lovely for everybody if we won the Championship, but I don't think it'd be anyone would feel better about it than Peter Beardsley. You know, the whole reason for him coming back and being part of this was for that moment, so you know, he's got a chance of achieving the dream. We all have.
Well, with Peter the Great installed in the 100 club, Keegan was looking to spend his millions on a new goal scorer to excite the Geordie fans. Faustino Asprilla is a Colombian international who's played for Parma in Italy for the past 4 years. Newcastle were reportedly prepared to pay an almighty sum to bring him to Tyneside. And when Asprilla arrived, it was to a typical Toonami welcome. But the South American would surely have been bemused by the blizzard that hit Newcastle. Keegan saw the 26-year-old Asprilla as yet another option in his attack, not only as cover for Les Ferdinand, but as an essential boost to the side which had now just the one target, to win the Premiership. United fans had no doubts about his talents.
Brilliant signing. Look out Europe, he will come. One of the best signings Newcastle's ever made.
He's got skill. He can score on any part of the ground. I think he'll go all the way.
But soon reports of Asprilla having a knee injury were backed up by rumours that Newcastle were pulling out, and it was said that Parma would sue if the transfer was off. But was the deal doomed? Kevin Keegan said he hoped Asprilla would still become a Newcastle player as the team prepared for the match at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Mind you, former Magpie star Chris Waddle was on view, and he'd been the subject of a United inquiry in the previous fortnight. Keith Gillespie made a welcome early return from injury with both David Ginola and Darren Peacock suspended. The job in hand was to make it 13 Premiership wins in a row at St James's Park.
Watson operating wide on the right then. And Howie looking for his second of the season. Disappointed not to get it on target. Now here's Gillespie. Beresford supporting strongly on the left. Gillespie still going onto the right foot. Just too high from Keith Gillespie, cutting inside from the left. Beardsley right up there then. Albert Ferdinand! He's the man for the job again. Les Ferdinand, after 54 minutes the breakthrough. Albert's header. Plenty of work still to be done. Well put away again. Albert. Oh, that's beautifully weighted all the way through to Gillespie. Went down rather awkwardly under that challenge from Peter Atherton. Gillespie back after injury today, remember. Got the ball, Atherton, but Gillespie got a bit tangled up with himself, it seems, there. Off on a stretcher. That's a really worrying sight. Gillespie has been such a miss. Albert's presence again. Factor for Sheffield Wednesday. Here's Beardsley. Beardsley tries one against one post and the other, and Howie, and somehow nobody scored. Beardsley, brilliant. That's not easy to do. Howie was onto it, and oh, that's a marvellous save. Albert, so accurate and so casual as well. Waiting for the referee's whistle, but Clark's moved into a good position here, and that's 2-0. Lee Clark wraps up the points then. Good finish too. Well, his nickname's Jigsaw because he's supposed to go to pieces in the box. He certainly didn't then. Neatly passed through to him and finished off 10 out of 10.
The victory maintained the 9-point gap at the top of the table, with Manchester United regaining second place over Liverpool, who'd been held at home by Spurs. And by Monday, the tabloids had ruled on Asprilla. They reckoned the deal was definitely off. But can you always believe what they say? The door may still be open. Well, now from South America and the Colombian confusion to near tragedy in North America. This is the start of the Daytona 24-hour race in early February, and the debut of the Newcastle United Lister Storm car. The event was only 2 hours old when a Porsche clipped the United car at 190 miles an hour. It left the tarmac, skidded onto the grass, but then the car seemed to hit a bump, taking off and somersaulting through the air before disintegrating. It was a horrific crash. Miraculously, United driver Ken Aitchison, who'd been in 8th place, escaped serious injury. But now Newcastle must start again with their £250,000 investment. Finally, the black and white video puts the record straight on Kevin Keegan and the England job, the story that won't go away. When England coach Terry Venables announced he'll be quitting after this summer's European Championships, it meant yet again Newcastle's manager emerged as the fans' #1 choice. Of course, Kevin has already been involved in Venables' setup, taking temporary charge of the under-21s from Dave Sexton. But when the latest news broke, he was quick to issue a terse statement. Now Kevin speaks out exclusively to the black and white video on why he doesn't want to know about England.
Still got work here to do. I want to finish it off. I've never pushed for the job, I've never asked for the job, I've never wanted to be interviewed for the job. And people say, well, you lack ambition. But I think there's enough ambition here for me at the moment. I mean, hey, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line, who knows? You know, it might be better for both this club and me if something else happens. But at the moment, it's certainly not. And I always look back at the other things. You know, if I look at it from my point of view, people say, oh, it'd be nice. And I could have left my hat in there and you know, read the papers where my name keeps coming up for the England job, and that gives you a nice little buzz. If it doesn't, there's something wrong with you. But the other side of it was, you know, I'm thinking, I sat with Les Ferdinand for 4 hours to convince him to come here because we were going to win something. We, meaning him, me, this club, these supporters. And same with David Ginola, same with Philippe Albert when he came. All these players are here because at some stage we've sat down with them and said, hey, come here, you can achieve your dreams here. You know, and 2, 3, 4 years ago, you know, when Rob Lee came and John Beresford came, you couldn't get anybody to come up here. And then you're going to walk away from it and people say, hold on. And then it collapses maybe. And it could, because it would give players here a chance to say, well, I came because of him. You know, not forget the club, but, you know, that guy, you know, Rob Lee will say, well, I told him that Newcastle was nearer to London than Middlesbrough. You know, and Les Ferdinand will say, well, he sat with me for 4 hours and said, hey, you know, we're going to win something. And now he's gone. What's left here for me, you know, other than I love playing for the club, but I'm a Londoner. You know, I don't want to give any player a reason like that to leave this club. And the supporters, the dreams of the supporters, and the fact that we sell out before a ball's kicked, it's not worth it, you know, it's just not worth it. I mean, and I don't think the England job's bigger than this. I really don't.
So the reassuring news that Kevin is staying at Newcastle ends our video. Fingers crossed the boss is celebrating in issue 4 of the black and white video, which completes our set. And we'll also be producing our usual complete story of the season. Let's hope it's championship material. Bye for now.